So two key points which I'd like to just mention. Number one, what about that additional 25% on tariffs that were invoked on account of buying Russian crude? Has that disappeared? Because Trump has spoken about it going from 25% to 18%. No answers right now. And when Donald Trump talks about 500 billion in terms of Indian imports from the United States, it's unclear what he's referring to. He says energy, tech, is that over and above the trade deal? Are those deals which India and the US can expect? If so, what is the time period? So, Aditya, you'd agree that, it's great news if there is a trade deal because, India and the US, natural allies at a basic sense, but lots of questions over here, no clear answers.
Well, certainly a lot of questions, and these will be answered perhaps in the next few days when the final print is out in there. But you're right. India has enjoyed bipartisan support from the United States, and there were concerns raised by several members of parliaments and senators on the trade deal that this needs to be done as soon as possible. You cannot impose such kind of tariffs on close partners like India. But to an extent, we can say that is behind us. Finally, there's been agreement, there's been some consensus that's been achieved. There was a strategic bilateral partnership for the last 2 decades, and that is now being taken forward. Of course, we'll have to wait and watch because every other day, the new geopolitical tensions are turning the wind when it comes to trade, commerce, and the strategic partnership between even long allies like New Delhi and Washington, D.C. Sergio Gore has been here. He was somebody who was close to Donald Trump. And finally, many expected that once he landed here, there would be some important developments that take shape. And that is what has finally happened. He met Jaishankar 2 days ago. And today, just before the clinching of this deal and the final announcement, we had Sergio Gore tweeting out about the conversation between Modi and Trump. We still do not know the final print of that conversation and what was agreed to. We also do not know the final print of the trade deal. That perhaps will be out in open when it finally happens between these two countries. But a lot of questions from oil to the sanctions that have been imposed in the past and how India will navigate all of that.
So again, a few more questions as I look at what has been mentioned. And Mr. Vikri, I'm not being a pessimist. I'm just trying to point out areas which are unanswered. I believe a trade deal is in the interest of both countries. But Trump says they will likewise move forward to reduce their tariffs and non-tariff barriers against the US to zero. But he's not identified the areas where this is going to take place. There are clear red lines. For example, in dairy for India, which we cannot accept. Maybe zero in other areas. But that doesn't seem to have found mention over here at all. Mr. Vikri?
No, I don't think it has, and it's typical for President Trump's approach to not have details, and then when asked about them, saying that it's all in his favor. We've seen this with the Vietnam trade agreement. We've seen it with Indonesia. We've seen it with Japan. Things which are represented as solved are not solved at all. Mm-hmm. And of course, the basic problem is where does the international community going forward? We've had a World Trade Organization before that, a general agreement on tariffs and trade, which had in place a multilateral rule of law, standards-based approach to international trade. And this has been completely torpedoed by this transactional one-to-one and then announcement really in a few lines, something which in the past would have taken years. And if you look at the EU-India agreement, you see that it's pages and pages of detail, which was negotiated over 19 years. And none of that is present with the Trump approach. And it gives pause, I think, to those in India who want to have this relationship reach its full potential to build peace and prosperity throughout the world.
Right.
But how do you deal with this on a transactional basis?
All right, so, Mr. Vikri, just hold that thought.